Hey guys, let's talk about tonight's episode of Scandal. And yeah, it was a good episode. There were a few standout scenes for sure for me. First of all, I like that opening scene where you already see Olivia is in handcuffs and she's in this bunker room and Fitz is marching down this hallway and you don't know where he's going. He opens his door and Olivia is sitting there already handcuffed. So you know things have obviously gotten pretty dicey. We get a 48 hours earlier, and this brings us to pretty much the case of the week, which was a pretty good case of the week. But really, where the episode was the strongest was Olivia trying to navigate her whole lie situation with the president. And one of the most standout scenes for me was the scene with Jake and her in the Oval Office when she summoned him to the Oval Office. And once again, he just strips her down and, is basically like, look, you cannot run to me. You cannot ask me for favors. You cannot summon me and think that I am just going to give you all the information that you need or that I'm going to, listen to what you have to say and not try to kill your father. And I think that that is one of the silliest things that Olivia could ever ask of Jake, to not try to kill her dad. When she claims that, oh, someone's trying to kill him, I'm like, yeah, you were trying to kill him at one point. Everybody's trying to kill him. He's an ass. But I love that scene and I love how it played out. And I'm glad that Jake is basically like, you do not get to call me. You don't get to cry on my shoulder. What do you think? I'm going to spoon you? I was like, right. So that whole scene was awesome to me. And then, Fitz walks in and he's just completely clueless. Of course, the other standout scene was the scene at the very beginning when they were playing that big tune by Donny Hathaway and Pope, Papa Pope. First of all, it was kind of cool when, we've never really seen Olivia walk into her OPA office. So you see her walking down this hallway, she gets into the elevator, and then all of a sudden you see Tom in the elevator with her, and that cool shot from down below when he pulls the lever to send them up in the elevator, and he's just staring at it, and he's like, oh, Helen of Troy, and you're just like, oh boy. So she gets up to the top, and her father's there waiting for her, and that was another really good scene because, he's all like, oh, I'm actually scared, so you should be scared, and I actually thought, I kind of believed him too, but I don't really care. Look, he has done so many crazy wackadoodle things that it's like, why should I care if you live or die at this point? Like, you are the worst. So when he has that conversation with his daughter, and he's pretty much like, I need your help. And she's like, yeah, I don't care. I'm not helping you. And he's like, people want to kill me. And she's like, what are you trying to say? And he's like, I'm scared because you should be scared because I'm scared. And I was like, I'm kind of scared. But I did like that moment between the two of them. He touches her face. He's like, I'm so proud of you. You've done everything that you should have done. And I've left if I should die, I've left all this stuff for you to figure all this stuff out. And I was like, Papa Hope gonna die. And I'm totally fine with that if it pushes forwards a better storyline that'll come out of all of this. So that was a pretty powerful scene. I also enjoyed, obviously, the scene where we catch up to the beginning of the episode when Olivia is locked up and Fitz confronts her, and this is when he learns the truth that Olivia is the person who got Rowan out of prison, thanks to Cyrus for going, sneakily behind the president's back and getting David Rosen to do this investigation. And he comes back with the information that Olivia is the one who got her father released from prison. And so when Fitz confronts her, I like how they played that scene where we're not actually hearing the words that are coming out of Olivia's mouth. We're just seeing her talking, and we're seeing Fitz's awesome reaction to it, and his face just looks destroyed. I thought that scene was really well done, and you just see how devastated she is and how distraught she is, but she did it, own it, and that's basically in that moment she's explaining. We hear after the fact that her father's life was in danger, blah, 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 blah. And so then Fitz does this weird thing where, he basically wants her released. He wants her brought back to the White House. And then he has all of her clothes brought from her place to the residence, and it's a very weird scene how it plays out. She's in her robe, her hair's all washed, and she's like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I brought all your stuff here, you're going to be living with me, I'm going to have a Secret Service detail on you. And she's just kind of like, is this a nightmare? That's exactly what she's like, this is a nightmare, this isn't what I want. And so Obviously, he wants to keep a watchful eye on his lovely lady because I just don't think he trusts her right now. I don't think he trusts her at all because, what do you do when you find out that the man who murdered your son is now out of jail and the love of your life had him released? I don't know. So that all happened. And then, of course, Cyrus still has an Olivia Pope problem. And so when he found out that David Rosen was going to get the FBI to arrest her, he was all gleeful, but then it didn't really work out in his favor after all. And Fitz basically was like, yeah, I want her released and I want her brought back to the residence. So yeah, deal with it. And Cyrus is still not back in the good graces with the president as he once was. I'm not sure what it's going to take for him to get there, but it hasn't quite happened yet. So, of course, we have Jake on the mission trying to find and assassinate Papa Pope, and he finds out his location. When he gets there, Tom is on the ground. Do we know if he's dead? I mean, he checked for a pulse, but we kind of don't. You can kind of read from his reaction that he's dead, but we don't really get confirmation. And then we see Rowan locked up in this warehouse. And at first I thought it was the warehouse that they were going to bomb. But then we see Huck shows up. And he's basically like, you got some explaining to do to Rowan. So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty solid episode. And I mean, all the stuff with Susan Ross is just adorable. I think she's as sweet as pie. And I actually want to see her and David Rosen get together because that stuff with Elizabeth is just not working for me. So they had a quick romp in the closet and I was like, ew. I think that Susan Ross is adorable and him with her and David Rosen would be absolutely adorable. There was a really nice touching moment before all things went sideways for Fitz and Olivia when they were laying in bed and he, snuggled up to her and they just had a nice little quiet moment before, the truth bombs were all dropped. And we really didn't have a lot of Mellie in this episode, but she does know now that Fitz knows the truth and we'll see how all that plays out next week. I'm sure that Fitz is going to have something to say to Mellie. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We still have some stuff going on with Curtis at the office. Quinn is trying to teach him the ropes, how to speak really fast when she's trying to lay out a case of the week. But, it was kind of just really, really low level sidebar stuff with the people at OPA. But yeah, the truth bombs were dropped and can't wait to see what's going to happen. And now Lazarus 1 is out in the open. Olivia knows about it. Obviously, Huck knows about it, and we'll see what's going to happen next week. All right, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode of Scandal. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and I will definitely see you next week. Bye, guys.